and I
We're
get my
live!
because I'm a loyal subscriber to you.
Okay, I should get it so that okay, so where did I just lost it. I'm a mess. I'm a mess. I'm a loser. Anyways, hi guys, welcome to the Last Olympian live show. We are so happy to have you with us. If you are with us at this point, we're still working on getting links out, so some of you may not be here yet. But
yes,
let me pull up.
Do you have a tweet that I can just copy?
Well, I'm working on once I have the link because I've got everything else in the tweet. I just need the link for people to go to. Bitly is such a lifesaver.
That's smart.
And let's go in there and pause me so I don't have to hear myself talking.
Yeah, I just did that too.
I hate it. It's the worst. Like when I used
to, like you're in the wrong place if you never want to hear yourself talk. Though, the amount of time you have to talk to yourself out loud by yourself, and then you have to edit the videos, which by that point you just hate your voice and you actually have to watch your videos.
Oh, I cannot stand my voice when I've been editing videos. Oh, come on. Do not make me redo this whole thing. Okay. I didn't even I used to sing. And so one of the big things that you do when you're singing is you're supposed to listen to yourself. And I hated it.
The worst.
I hate my voice, but everyone has a weird fascination. Like literally the most common comment I have ever received as a compliment is my voice. Like almost every single person who has ever shouted me out is like, she has a lovely voice. I just like listening to it. And I'm like, what? I'm like, I want to punch myself when I hear my voice.
I mean, we don't have to live with it, so.
That's true.
To live with it.
All right. Hopefully people will end up hanging out with us tonight. Oh, Jamie's here! And Nerd Blurb! Hey, guys!
Hello.
All right, let me get this back up so I can see you guys again and it's not doing weird things. That's better. Okay. I have so many windows open right now to make this work, but that's okay. The sacrifices we make. All right, so say what?
Did you post it on yours or read DA?
I posted it in read DA and then I just retweeted it from mine.
Okay, finding this tweet.
Oh, you're hilarious, Nerdy Blurb. Okay, so hello, welcome to the Read DA read along live show for The Last Olympian. Might look like this, depending on which copy you have, by Riordan. I love this man so much, and this book has only just solidified how much I love him. Like, I needed this book today. I'm still in mourning over How to Train Your Dragon, guys.
Oh my god.
It's killed him.
Nothing.
I won't say anything.
I just go into talking about How to Train Your Dragon 3.
Wait, are you in a coffee shop or something, Kenzie?
Huh?
Are you in a coffee shop or something?
No, I'm actually in my friend's dorm. We were at a coffee shop, and then we didn't actually get any of the writing that we needed to done. So they're like, yeah, come back to the dorm. And I was like, guys, I got a live show. And they're like, fine, just do it in the dorm. And I'm like, okay.
I finally sent queries on Thursday, one of those days.
I'm so proud of you.
I know.
So for you.
I know. I'm just like, a couple of them I held back because I was like, I want to make sure that this query letter is the bomb before I send it to them.
Yeah.
I'll make sure it slaps. But okay, anyways, so let's start out with what are you guys, or if you've been reading, I know that you guys have a lot of schoolwork, but what have you been reading if you have? Even if it's schoolwork.
I'll go. So I actually just got done reading The Poet X, which, wow, bald.
Yeah, I think
starting The Hate You Give, which also on chapter 2 already have been crying a lot. So yeah, there's that. We're good. Yeah.
That's cool. Hold on. I am reading. Okay, I'm in the middle of 2 books right now because I'd finished most of my February TBR. I'm very proud of myself for this, but I'm finished. I'm reading like in the middle of Clockwork Prince. Can you see my Five Guys receipt? My Ratchet bookmark, and then my audiobook is Ever the Brave. I'm only a little bit of the way to this, so I don't know if I like it better than that first one. The first one I had a hard time connecting with, so I'm not sure. But it is like I like the storyline, and it's so many tropes that like I'm into. I'm just not like. I think the fact that this has a possible love triangle, and I'm just like, but why? This is unnecessary. Obviously, and then I hate love triangles most of the time because usually it's just like there for drama, and that drives me nuts. But then we have this guy, and it has the best love triangle, and quite possibly the only one that I stan.
That might actually make me read the book. I have been putting that book series off for so long because I know that it has a love triangle in it.
This is like I usually have such issues with love triangles, but this love triangle, I was rooting for both boys, and I don't even know how she made me do that. I am not built to be a multi-shipper.
No, not either.
Like, once you've sold me on a ship, I am hardcore for that ship. If you change it, I will die. That's why I wasn't able to, like, that's why we don't talk about Legend of Korra on my channel anymore.
I love it.
You ship both of them?
What?
You ship both with Korra?
No, I only shipped one with Korra, and then the rest of the seasons happened. And I was like, oh, I guess nothing.
Yeah, okay.
Like
that relationship one, but the other seasons made it crap. Okay.
The first season, in my opinion, was the best season. It was the tightest. But...
It was like, oh, it's going to get better, and then no, it did not.
Avatar, Last Airbender is still the top in my book. And yeah. I can't think about Korra. I couldn't eat for 3 days after the Legend of Korra finale happened. Like, that's how upset I was.
I was literally like, I couldn't even be upset. I remember watching the season 2 finale of it, and I'm like, you're supposed to be this isn't Avatar anymore. Like, I was just like, it had become fatalistic, and I just didn't care anymore. It was only season 2.
I have to say, I did, like, except for the shipping stuff, I did like what they did with the storyline and some of the stuff that they explored, especially in seasons 3 and 4. The reason I watch and read things is for the ships.
No, yeah.
Yes, yeah. Like, I really like the philosophy, and the, like, things were really well done. I just think that the reason I read things are not for ships, but for characters, and I think that they really, like, they didn't do a great job with characters. They did a great job with philosophy, which made it interesting, but it didn't make it with the same appeal to me.
Yeah.
And then there was the other issue that, like, there were a lot of people that talked about the fact that, like, the Korra's lesson was that she needed to be quiet, and a lot of people were, like, having issues with that the brown girl's lesson was that she needed to be quiet. And I was just like, I hear that.
Although, I don't know if race comes into it, since, like,
Min one way. Oh, there you're back. It just was one of the analyses that I saw, and I was like, I do miss the Korra from season 1. I like that she was unapologetic, and maybe she needed to learn a little bit of patience and restraint at times, but, like, I like rash loud girls, because sometimes I am one.
I just rather her be rash. Like, her loudness isn't an issue. It's just, like, learn some wisdom, I think, would be more my issue.
Yeah.
Because, like, wisdom and being quiet is the same thing.
So, anyways, Nerdy Blair, if you didn't know, they're actually making, there is a book about Avatar Kyoshi that's coming out, if you didn't know that already. So, like, check that out. I just thought they were saying that they want a 3rd season that takes place before Aang's time. And, like, they're not giving you that as a show, but they're giving you that. So,
like, it's like 100 years before, but, it works.
It works. Anyways, Min, have you been able to read anything recently? What are you in the middle of?
Well, for school, I'm reading beautiful literature about the perpetual issues and relationships that lead to divorces. It's super fun. But when not reading about why couples fail relationships, the last book I read, I think, was Poet X as well. I haven't read in the last, like, week and a half. And I tried to read Dread Nation. It did not catch me. And been in the middle of this January, and it's so lovely, and I just need to have more time to read it because I love it so much.
Yeah, I did. I really liked The Poet X. I feel like I need to read it while listening to it because I listened
to the audio, and it was
really good.
I just a book while reading it with it, and it was incredible.
Yeah, see, when I'm doing poetry, I need to be able to see the line breaks for me to fully get like everything that I can get out of it. So I don't think it hit me as well as it could have, but I also totally felt the whole like young girl in a religious household vibe that was through that whole book. Like, I don't know why.
So, yeah, I couldn't relate to that aspect as like, despite the fact that like I grew up in like a highly strict religious place. I thought that the description of it was a little bit too like stereotypical for me, and it didn't really hit home to my own experiences. But I think that everyone has unique experiences. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it hit home with a lot of what I'm going through right now with like my parents and I have like the same beliefs to some extent, but we have different ideas of how they should be talked about.
Yeah.
And how they should be, what's the word? To use something to like put into practice, I guess.
To execute?
Yeah, execute. And also we have huge disparities on what the Bible has to say about welfare. So
welfare? Oh, yeah.
Welfare.
Me too.
Yes. Like
just told me to be a socialist.
basically, like we don't worship Jesus in this country. Speaking of the U.S., we worship capitalism.
Yeah. Read James 5. Literally begins with like people who are rich and mistreat people are terrible. Anyways,
let's see. Okay, I'm trying to convince my brother to come hang out with us on our live show, like in the comments. There we go. Nice. All right, so the book, guys. Let's talk about the book. I love this book. Like, I think, show of hands, who thinks this is the best book in this particular series?
I think it's
having a hard
time. Which one beats you?
I have so many mixed emotions on picking my favorite book.
No. I'm not saying favorite. I'm saying like just reading it. I just kept like it kept hitting home how well he has taken all of the different threads that he has put in and how well he's brought them together in this book. How well he's brought Nico in and how well he's brought all of like the backstory. Like there's backstory, like stuff from the last books that are coming into this book, and how well he uses Annabeth in this story and like Rachel and all of that.
Yeah,
so
you're right.
I'm not saying favorite. I mean,
yes. I agree. I just needed some, clarification.
Oh, yeah, no, I know some people can't pick a favorite book. I know I'm an outlier on that one.
I think that it's an amazing book, but like I think Kenzie has like a point in why it's so hard, because this book wouldn't be amazing if it wasn't for the buildup of the other books. That's like it's hard to do something, but because I feel like a lot of people say that their first book is normally the first. My favorite book is normally the last because of that. But I think depending on how you view it. Because when I read the first book, like there's so much that there's not like like there that isn't there in the beginning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It makes me sad.
Yeah, and there's so much that like so much growing that Percy does. I just felt like because it is such a good like just he could have gone very wrong in wrapping things up, but I don't think he left a single like really important loose end except for what's going to go into the next series. So like the first time I was reading it, like I didn't need any more.
No.
And I kind of wish that was it.
What?
Maybe like I like his other worlds and stuff being fine without the Heroes of Olympus. Like I like them on their own, but I don't think I think that I would have preferred it kind of as I was reading the last page. Like if they had have said it at a time where like it hadn't have included Percy and Annabeth, because I don't think that it did a lot for their characters.
Heroes of Olympus or Trials of Apollo?
Heroes of Olympus. I haven't finished Trials of Apollo yet. I've only read the first book.
I haven't read any yet. I'm horrible.
Okay. It only literally has Percy in it for one chapter, and I don't think he appears in the other book. So for me, it's just like I think that the book was I think that he had it planned for so long because it was his first series. He had a lot of planned, and then I don't know, because there was a lot of loose ends in the Heroes of Olympus series that just anyways. But I was reading this, and like as I was explaining, I read the beginning and then I read the end because I didn't have time to read the whole book, and like within like 4 sentences of starting reading on like the 3rd last chapter or 4th last chapter, I was just like bawling my eyes out, which says something about. I haven't read this full book in probably like 5 years now, and I just like could just jump in halfway and like start crying.
I was feeling so many feelings reading this book, and it didn't help that I just come back from the final movie in one of my favorite series. I was like, I should not have finished both of these in the same day.
Yeah. No.
So I ran out of purple tabs. The light purple, which is my ship color. There are entire pages that are like, there's swaths of paragraphs. They're just purple, like.
Naturally.
Oh, man. So, okay.
Wait, speaking of ships, when you messaged the group about Travis and Nico, I almost threw my phone across the room.
Travis and Will, not Travis and Nico.
Yeah.
Nico would be hilarious. I would just laugh.
One of my biggest ships in the Percy Jackson universe is Travis and Katie Gardner. And so when you were like, oh yeah, I totally shipped Travis with Will, I was like, no.
I didn't say
no.
I didn't say that I shipped Travis with Will. I just said they would be cute together. Because, like, Will would be all disapproving and Travis would be stealing things, and I'm a sucker for the, like, disapproving boyfriend with the stealing person on the other end. If you hadn't guessed.
Yeah, no, but a little part of me kind of just went, how dare you?
Listen, I'm not looking to break up any existing ships. I just sometimes see things that might work.
Is there enough of Katie Gardner to have a strong ship? I feel like I have no idea who she is, other than the fact that she's from Demeter.
She's from Demeter's house?
Yeah, there's like a little bit of mention in her in the, like, there's something about her and Travis, or in like the Stoll brothers.
That would be really cute, because she was kind of giving him the side eye too when he was talking about stealing stuff.
Yeah. I love
You're
that.
like, if they're against it, I'm good.
They're like in my top 5 ships. I love Katie and Travis. Ready for life.
Okay. All right, so what? I mean, I think we all know what Margaret's favorite part was. But what was y'all's favorite parts?
Water kiss ever. I literally just read that and my heart went,
I could read about these two for the rest of my life and I would be happy.
Yeah, no.
I actually think it was a different moment, I think.
The scene where Percy, where they're like about to go into battle, I think they're in a bridge. And he's like, yeah, do I get a kiss? And Annabeth's like, if you live. I was like, oh.
That's the moment. I scream every time. Like, I mean, the best underwater kiss is good, but like that banter where he's like, "Don't I get the kiss?" and she's like, and they're trying. We'll get into that. Men, what was your favorite moment?
I will say my favorite like shipping moment is just to make the two of you happy, and it's not the kiss. I think the kiss is like really cute and everything like that, but I think for me it's like when he gives up immortality for her, like that. He says like when he says and he looks at her, and like I just read that part and I was just like crying, and it was like he looked at it and he's like I almost had a panic attack when she gave it, and then he like
It's so good. I love that moment.
emotional stuff is what I care about so much more.
Yeah, I know. That was such a good moment. There's actually a fanfic I read a long time ago, where he doesn't give up immortality and he becomes a god, and it's about him trying to like figure that out while still trying to have a relationship with Annabeth, and I'm just like, okay. Like, it was good. I don't even remember what the name of it was. But
I don't read fiction.
I do. I also
fan fiction is the only thing that got me through finishing this series when I first read it.
I don't like messing with the continuity. It never seems real, and it just I don't like it. I don't know.
I'm like that a lot too. Like if a fanfic gets too far off of out of the lane, I'm like, nope, we're done with this one. But I also really like alternate universes.
Yeah, me too.
I have a Walking Dead Percy Jackson fanfic somewhere that will not be mentioned. The username will not be mentioned, but I got pretty far in that one.
Oh my god!
It's them being badass zombie hunters, or actually, it's just them trying to survive the zombie apocalypse. It was like, do you remember that fan art that Viria did ages and ages ago that was like Percy's got a skateboard and Annabeth's got something and they're fighting zombies, and I was like, oh, I'm writing a story off of this.
I do. I'm pretty sure it's on my wall somewhere.
So, but yeah. Anyways, we're not gonna talk about my fanfic because we don't talk about my fanfic.
I do really like thinking of alternate ships though, which is really weird because it's the opposite because neither of you like I just love thinking about like who everyone could end up with. But I hate anything not related to dating. I don't like thinking of alternative things. Like I like imagining it, but not I don't know. I think like that whole scene, like I just read it, and like
so good.
The whole scene with like the knife and he's the real hero, and like all of that, and just I think that was the moment like it cemented as one of my favorite series because it's clever and it's beautiful and it works so well, and then it's like this weird dichotomy of whether he's a hero or whatever, and it just ends with get a shroud for the son of Hermes, and it's so emotional.
Oh, and it shows so much of Percy. I want to go into this, so we're segueing into it, but so shows so much of Percy's character, like the fact that he's able to step back and do that. I love him.
Especially if you think about
Oop, you went away, Min.
That even though he thinks like he always thinks of Luke as like the friend who betrayed him, but it's weird because they weren't actually friends for very long.
Yeah,
because he spent a lot of summer on a quest and then he betrayed him. You know what I mean? Like most of his time, like he spent 4 years with him as his enemy, and like a month with him being his friend, right? So it's very interesting that even though they have such like it's not like Annabeth doing that, who has a very established relationship with Luke. No, it's him who has so many reasons to hate him and so many little reasons not to.
Mm-hmm.
And I love how that shows, who he is as a person.
Yeah.
One of my other favorite moments that shows kind of who Percy is as a person was when after Selena died and Annabeth really realized how far Luke had fallen. And she's like, are you happy now? And he's like, no, I'm not happy. Like, he was upset because she was upset. And I was just like, we stand an empathetic king. Like, I love how well Percy's empathy is explored in this series because I don't think we see a lot of male characters, especially when you get into YA and into adult, who are empathetic like that, who are willing to take a step back, who are willing to be like, you know what, I'm right, yes, but I'm not happy to be right. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Man, I have a beautiful thing from a series that neither of you know, but it's Flamecaster, which is the sequel series to the Seven Realms, one of my other favorite series.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the book, there's this beautiful quote talking about kind of like the cost of doing what is needed, but also feeling like kind of questioning about proving someone is guilty or like finding out that is like worth it. And I can't remember the exact quote, but it's beautiful. Anyways, wonderful series about like looking into that and that very empathetic character who realized how far he's gone to prove something. Anyways.
Mm-hmm. Like there are full-grown adults that couldn't do what Percy does at the end of the book and take a step back, and I love that.
Yeah.
Obviously.
I mean, we're gonna argue about that, and Percy's gonna agree with me who I think the best is. So.
Yeah, you're.
Is anyone?
Wait, Min, where'd you go?
I'm back. You just froze. You're still frozen, but I can hear you.
I can hear you, so we're good.
You have just changed frozen position. Okay.
Okay. I'll start singing Let It Go here in a minute.
Anyway.
What is Kenzie doing?
Dancing to Let It Go in my head.
Oh, okay. All right, what were you saying, Min?
Can I go on my segment about Nico yet?
I was just gonna talk about Nico's age. Go ahead. Let's go. Let's go. He was a huge part of this book, so we have to talk with him about him, obviously.
Yes, absolutely love him. First of all, like he's straight up said to be 12, which messes me up because in less than a year he's going to be called 14. But his age was completely confirmed in this book. And also, I just loved it. I loved that he was able to give his chance to shine. I loved that at the end he finally receives happiness through like getting acceptance from Hades, and that he's like growing as a person, and just his relationship with Percy is my favorite. And yeah.
Yeah, I tried to look up Nico's birthday to see if, like, because I was thinking about it because he's 12 in this book. And then we have it go all the, like, the next book is 4 months later. And then the book after that is at the beginning of the next summer. So he would be 13 then. But, like, if his birthday was after Camp Let Out, I could see him saying, I'm 14. I just can't find his birthday.
His birthday's in January.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Specifically, the fact that he's 10 in the Titan's Curse and 11 in the other one. That's
other one. Interesting, because heroes. Maybe Rick just forgot.
It's okay. Also, he has on Selena, Katie. Who does he randomly blush at? It's really weird. Anyways,
I don't remember.
I was like, wait, Rick, this is weird. Can you Rick on this?
Weren't they? I feel like I remember that, but weren't they like making fun of him or something? I can't remember. Anyways, but yes, I love how much growth and how important Nico ends up being.
Yeah.
For someone who didn't feel important at all in the last book. I love my underdogs getting the wreck they deserve.
Yeah.
I love him so much.
He is. I love it.
Rick does a great job with that.
Yes, he does.
I'm still going to say, though, he's not one of the 7, but that's okay.
It's all right. Oh, you're not gonna like me when we get to Blood of Olympus. But I'm not going to talk about that because I'm reserving that judgment until I have reread the book. Yeah. Anyways, so, okay, you mentioned it, but let's talk about Selena Beauregard and Clarice because, like, can we talk about characters?
Mm-hmm. I love them.
I love their relationship so much.
Like, especially Clarice, because she comes full circle at this point to someone that we actually like.
Mm-hmm.
I love Clarice.
Yes.
I wouldn't necessarily say I love Clarice.
Okay,
that might be going far.
Yeah, but like
I can tolerate her. I can stand her now. Like,
right.
I can more than tolerate her, but yeah.
Like, I like I love how his side characters get the chance to grow along with his main characters. Like, there's no one that's just like a lot of the side characters aren't just there to be there. They're not like cardboard cutouts. We get to see them take a journey in the course of the book, and we may not know it intimately like we do with Percy's, but like we kind of see the pieces of like Clarice from here to Sea of Monsters to Battle of the Labyrinth to Last Olympian. I really liked that.
Yeah, I do too.
Well, that's good. All right. Wait, do you have something to say, Kenzie, before I
like zoned out, and then I was like, wait, no. Yeah, okay, go on.
Oh, okay. All right. So, can do you know what was the funniest thing to me in this book? How the entire camp is shipping them. It was hilarious to me. Like,
it was beautiful.
Being shipping, like they have
decided.
They are just the trope of belligerent sexual tension.
I know. I was just like it was just so funny because like every chance they got to be like, oh hey, like to either make a dig or to like shove them so that they were together. I was just like, I was dying. I was just like, it was hilarious to me. Like, and then they all show up at the end to like dump them in the lake.
And I just love that they're just sitting there waiting. It's great. That is like, if I was, I would just use that to sneak off like all the time. Not just even like for like romantic things, but it's just so creative. If you need to have a secret meeting, just have it underwater.
Right. But yes, I just like, I mean, even Hestia was like, did you guys, okay, so I know this is not what Hestia meant, but when she was telling Percy that he needed to remember the most important thing, and she immediately takes him into a vision of Luke and Talia meeting Annabeth, I was like, yes, Annabeth is the most important thing. I think I wrote it at least 3 times in my book. I'm like, that's going to be one of those things that, like, when Percy is retelling this story, he's going to be like, and then she told me to remember the most important thing. And you know who she showed me? She showed me your mom. And Annabeth's just going to be rolling her eyes off to the side. That's not how it went, kids.
Okay, this is something that is totally off topic, but has always, like, wondered since I was, like, forever. What are, like, I guess this is actually referenced because, like, it happens in the other series, but, like, especially in the Greek myths, what happens when, like, 2 demigod children have children? Like, do they have powers?
I don't know.
Because, like, I forgot that Octavian is a legacy, so he's, like, a descendant of...
Yeah.
But, like, is that a thing in Greek myths? Like, if they had children, would their children be demigods? Because there's still, like, a 4th god.
I don't know if any of the demigods in Greek mythology
it's really half god because they're half god.
I can't remember. It's been a really long time since we did Greek mythology, but also can we just discuss the fact that Percy, like, Rick gives us the worst example of why demigods shouldn't, like, it's not awkward for demigods to date. And he's like, yeah, so like an Aphrodite kid wouldn't have any issue dating a Hephaestus kid. And I'm like, that's because they're not related at all. That's the reason they're married.
But it's still uncomfortable because if you think of Greek myths, like, it's just full of incest.
I know. I mean, a lot of stuff was full of incest back then, so.
You're not wrong.
But like, it's incest between siblings, like, because of course, everyone's related to everyone, is like also like doesn't Hephaestus, or sorry, not Hephaestus, doesn't Poseidon and Gaia have a child and like weird stuff like that?
That is weird. That's his grandmother.
That's what the dude was in the last book. That was the son of Poseidon.
Oh, that's right.
Like,
Thank you, Min, for ruining the entire series. Not really. Which is like, okay, yeah, I don't like to think about that. Okay. Especially since like Annabeth was a brainchild, so she doesn't even technically have any of Athena's DNA. So it's fine. Everything's okay. It would be a little weird. But like
if you think of Hephaestus and Aphrodite children getting together, like Selena and Charlie,
yeah,
or like Tickendorf.
Yeah, that's weird. A little weird.
So we just don't like to think about it, okay?
Like I feel like
question everything I know.
I feel like a better comparison would have been like a Hephaestus and an Aries kid. But I was just like, this is the worst example ever because, I mean, I guess because in some of the mythology, Aphrodite is born of the sea and Uranus's testicles, and that's how she comes to be. That's a fun myth.
She's the only one.
Don't laugh.
It's true. There's an entire, like, one of the mythologies of how Uranus has taken his Kronos wax off his bits and throws it into the ocean, and that's what becomes Aphrodite.
Yeah, and like most of the accepted mythos is based on that Aphrodite, the one from the Seaforth, and not the other one. So, yeah. But I just think it's like weird because then like you have the same parents pretty much. It's like your stepmother is also your mother-in-law.
Yeah, that's weird. Listen, I have interesting feelings on incest.
Children. Because if Artemis had children, then they could hook up with Apollo children, and then it's literally the twin.
Thankfully, Artemis is forever a virgin, so.
And that's probably why.
Artemis
is probably Artemis and Athena are the only ones with the brain.
Poseidon.
What about Poseidon?
Because it was Athena, not Artemis, right? That be like that they that vowed her like chastity after Poseidon and another god and two other gods were trying to like take her as their wife, or
yeah.
I'm not entirely sure. When I was into Greek myths, Artemis was my jam, so I didn't pay as much attention to Athena.
So not only are they
siblings, I remember that.
Or not siblings, they're uncle and
niece,
but they also almost had a romantic relationship. But Athena was like, I would rather be single forever, and that's where the rivalry begins.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't blame her.
I don't blame her.
That's making me think of things that come later. Okay, so anyways, we do have to talk about Sally Jackson because, as usual, she was a badass in this one.
Freaking queen!
When she learned the shotgun, I love the shotgun moment. Just every time, I'm like, yes!
Sally Jackson deserves a world.
She does.
Best mommy.
I'm so glad.
Award.
Yes. And I love that she's able to put like her feelings aside for what's good for the world. Like, I don't know that my mother could do that.
I also think that Sally is also really young, isn't she?
She was like 18 when she had Percy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she was in college, yeah. So like at this point, she's like 34. She was only like 30 when these books began.
Holy shit.
Yeah. 16-year-old child who can take over the world.
So it's not too late for me. I could still find my Paul Blowfist and be happy forever. I just have to wait another, 2, 3 years?
There you go.
Oh,
Having a fake son in high school, and you can hook up with a teacher.
Oh, yeah, that sure sounds like a great idea. But yes, I like just Sally. That was one of the things that I really like is that even though she's not necessarily a huge part of the book, she's still involved in this series throughout this series. It's not like, oh, she's just gone. Like you get in a lot of other middle grade and YA. She's part of the series. Percy does go to her for advice and it's good advice. I like that.
yeah, he doesn't just forget about her.
Yep. I mean, there are a few occasions where he forgets to call.
Right. So, you know.
And there was for like a year.
Okay, yeah. Well, you know.
I do feel like I remember one of the books, Kyron's like, call your mother.
Yeah.
So, but that is fun. But okay. Is there anything, well, I'm trying to remember what my list of topics was. Is there anything you guys wanted to discuss or talk about?
Not that we haven't touched on.
See, I love the couples where they willingly admit that they're not going to do something because the other person is stubborn and will beat them up if they try to hold them back.
Yeah.
It's maybe not the healthiest relationship but you know, it's fiction. You know they're not going to actually do that. So
It's fine.
I would tell couples to have good relationship dynamics because people base things on fiction.
You are a robot right now, Min. We can't hear what you're saying. Min, are you back? Are you there? Yeah, you went away. I heard something like and then you went away. Something about relationship dynamics.
Fantastic based on what I said. I said that I want my couples to be in healthy relationships because people actually base things on what they read in fiction and like idolization that, and it kind of scares me, unhealthy things that people idolize all the time.
Oh my gosh, like
Twilight. 50 Shades of Grey.
I was actually more thinking the Joker and Harley.
Those are the best examples of
like there's many really unhealthy dynamics that aren't like as blatant or as abusive, and people still like idolize them because they're in books. You know what I mean? I'm not talking about like a lot of blatant stuff.
Yeah, no, I find the Joker and Harley like fascinating as a couple, and they add an interesting dynamic to like the comics, but I really started hating them when one of the girls in my, like when I started seeing how many teenagers are like relationship goals, and I'm like, no, they're not.
Yeah.
But I like couples that can be playfully rough with each other a little bit. Like,
oh yeah, there's a nice sarcasm and stuff.
I love that. It's part of how I am, so.
It's just also going to show the fact that there's an other half of that relationship, because if there's only that, then it can be really dangerous.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes there's I love the banter. I'm not going to say I don't like the banter, but like you need to counter the banter with good emotional moments to show that a relationship isn't just based on that, because a relationship just based on that is not going to last.
Yes. And I think Rick does a really good job of that. Oh man, that moment when he shows her his like tether, I was just like, oh, such a good moment.
Fine, I didn't cry then. I never cried.
You didn't cry at all, Kinsey?
What are tears, right?
Like, I just love that he's like, if I can't trust Annabeth, I can't trust anyone. And I'm like,
yeah. See, I'm like, I might act heartless, but like I cry through like everything. Like I just get like teary-eyed reading so much. Like especially if it's my favorite series, I just like sit there like teary-eyed the whole time.
I do not cry over fictional things. I have never cried over fictional things. It's not that I don't feel them. It is not that they don't make me sad, but like I'm an all or nothing crier. Like I am either like huge weeping sobs or like nothing. I've always had like a really heightened like idea of what is fictional and what is not. And so like I got through How to Train Your Dragon. Like there were moments where I was just like, oh my heart, but like I wasn't crying.
I can't do that.
Oh, okay.
Oh, listen, there was a moment at the end where there was a callback to the first movie, and I was like in the middle of the theater, I was like, that's rude!
Literally, we're watching the movie, and I'm, like, silently crying, like, because my whole family's with me, and they know I cry. And as soon as the sad moment comes, everyone in my family turns to me and goes, crying, and I'm like, yeah, I'm crying. Leave me alone. This is sad. Like, stop.
My mother will cry over anything. Like, I mean, it's literally we'll be watching something, and my dad will look at me and go, "Your mom's crying," and we just burst out laughing. We're awful.
See, that's like me. I cry over everything, but like I cry a lot. I like especially if it's like finales or like anything like that. Like this is probably embarrassing to admit, but have either of you watched Vampire Diaries?
I stopped about season 6 when I realized that Stelena was never happening again.
I got to season 2.
Anyways, the last season, pretty much they kill everyone, and I just spent the entire time in like convulsive crying, and then I stayed up all night crying and weeping, and my face was so red. And I realized later on that was a really bad decision because I had an interview the next day, and I was just like so sad and depressed, and I was like all day late, went to showered and cried. That's how emotionally invested I am. And it's not even a good series.
I might be smiling right now, but on the inside, I am dead. I just didn't cry during the movie at all. So. Like, it just didn't happen. It never happens. The closest I've gotten is The Fault in Our Stars, and I teared up, but I did not cry. Kizzy's looking at me.
I actually didn't cry during the movie.
The movie almost got me. Oh, and Grey's Anatomy. Grey's Anatomy. Oh my gosh. That's one of the only other times that I have almost cried watching something. It's when the social worker, I don't know if you know the plot, but there's one point where the main character and her husband are trying to adopt a little baby, and like you've been through this really intense, emotional, awful episode where like so many people die and like half your ships are gone, and then the social worker shows up at the door with their daughter, and Meredith is just sitting there. That's our baby. I was like, oh boy. That was when the show was still good. But that's the closest I've ever come.
I find it easier to actually cry for TV shows than I do for books or movies, normally because they last longer and I'm more emotionally involved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just
cry.
I'm like season 6 of Suits right now, and just everything is just so emotional, and I just feel teary-eyed based on like just recalling things, and it's Suits. It shouldn't be that emotional.
Listen, the Spirit of God has to move for me to cry. That's probably why I need therapy. That's pretty much it.
Good thing. I also cry in church all the time, and not because I'm like sad, but because I'm like, oh God, it's so good.
Yeah, that's me. Like I'll cry over real life stuff. But like if I'm sad or mad, and like I'm alone, like I didn't cry when my dog died because my mom and my brother were in there with me. I still miss her every day, but like at that point it was such a relief. It was one of those things that like we didn't like I couldn't handle not knowing if she was in pain.
Yeah.
So they're like, you could probably wait a little longer. And I was like, no, I don't even want to take the chance that she is in pain and we don't know. But then like I'll talk about how she died and I get choked up and I have to stop.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, like I cry a fair amount about like things in life, like not very much. Like I don't super like crying in front of people, but like also like if I'm reading a book or like watching something with someone, I won't cry, but if I'm alone, I will.
Yeah.
And like I I don't normally cry in front of people about real life stuff. But when I'm alone, watching TV in my bedroom, just sobbing.
Yeah.
Tears come. It's emotions that I'm not good at expressing in real life.
The only time I've ever wanted to cry during a book was at the end of Allegiant, and I was so mad I couldn't.
I
literally read about a book today, so I can't.
So, all right. Anyways, I'm gonna go through my tabs and see if there was anything else that almost everything I highlighted was a ship moment.
I think that was the baddest time we've been. Baddest is not a word. Wow, the worst time we've been for staying on track about talking about the book.
Yeah, I mean it's great. So. I loved all of the callbacks, like him talking about like falling off the arch and stuff like that. I like how Rick really uses those to enhance the story, like reminds his readers of what's happened, and he does it in a way that's not like info dumping, you know?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love it when he's describing Michael Yu and he says Michael stood 4'6" with another 2 feet of attitude. I was like, yep, short people.
Yeah. Oh, can we also talk about, is there a curse, like the same curse that's on the Defense Against the Dark Arts teachers, I think is on the leader of the Apollo cabin? Because how many leaders of the Apollo cabins do we come before Will sold this?
Well, we went through...
I think we went through
Lee Fletcher died last book, and then Michael dies in this book. So I don't think we've had I think that's it. Those are the only 2 named characters I can think of that are in Apollo.
Will.
But they have 3, and other than the fact, well, because Luke was the head of Hermes, but other than that, none of the other cabins changed during the series, right?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I mean, I don't think we knew for most of the cabins until the Battle of the Labyrinth, really.
Yeah, then we know the name characters because we have Travis and Beckendorf and Selena. Is Selena? Yeah, they're all mentioned in Sea of Monsters, and they're all the only ones named of those cabins, so it's fairly obvious that they're probably the people that are the leaders of it. Yeah. Is Lee mentioned or is Lee only mentioned in the Battle of the Labyrinth? I can't remember.
Oh, I remember that. Okay. I think that's because that's the book he dies in, right? I thought that was the book he died in.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, okay, so I just want to point out that we see a name that will be familiar on page 73 because one of the messages from Grover is from Gleason Hedge.
Yeah, I knew that.
I was like, oh! Like, just having read Heroes of Olympus and knowing where he's going. There's so many things in this.
Rick Riordan deserves
everything. Can we talk about Gleason?
I mean, he is a satyr. There's no accounting for taste.
Okay, sorry.
I mean, is it better or worse than Linnaeus, though?
So, I don't know if I mentioned this, but my roommate is currently reading the series, and she's currently halfway through. She's on page 200 of the Last Olympian, and her favorite character is Tyson, and I keep on just looking at her being like, girl, really? And then she called Annabeth annoying, and I was like, and then she described
you need a new roommate.
Lovely. She pretty much told her she was pretentious, and I was like, all of these things, and I was like, girl, you're pretty much just describing me now. I should be offended. And she's like, I love you. A little bit too.
I'm gonna come to your house and I'm gonna fight her.
Hold on, I gotta go grab my passport. I'm driving up to Canada today, apparently.
Honestly.
She's a lovely woman.
And that's really sad because I didn't notice it the first time, but noticing how easy Annabeth is about things that people don't know, like how she's just like, oh, it's fine, I can tell you. She doesn't judge them for not knowing. Because we see that with Percy. I know we saw that with Percy in the first and second books a lot. There's only one moment that I can think of, and it's in this book where she's like, really, Percy, you don't know that?
Yeah. Anyways.
So.
I had an interesting conversation with her.
Yeah. Can we talk about the fact that they only have 40 campers at this point? Like, we started out with like 100 campers, I think, in the first book or so, and they're down to 40.
Yeah, if you think about the fact that they have 12 cabins, I guess there's 2 cabins with no one in it, right? Because there's Hera and...
Three, because Artemis, Hera, and Zeus. Technically Zeus.
Oh, yeah, I was thinking Castalia, yeah. Yeah, so... I can hear myself. There's 9 cabins, so there's only like that average. I guess like we have Percy too, who's the only one in cabin. So we can say 8. Between 8 cabins, there's 40 things. So there's only like 4 or 5 per cabin.
That's 5 per camper or cabin. That's what I meant. Okay, one thing that we do need to talk about, and this has bugged me, like in a lot of Greek mythology, but like the vilification of Hades.
Oh, yes, not love. Love like you love Clarice.
I was reading something the other day, and it was like a little Tumblr post or whatever, and they're like, do people actually realize that Hades would probably make a really great dad?
Here's one thing is one of the things that stood out to me, like everybody hates Hades, but then when they're talking about, it's on page 207, when Percy and Nico are seeing him trying to like talk with Maria about taking the kids and hiding the children. Hi! Hey, Bella. Bella is here now. But when he's trying to talk to her about taking the children and like hiding them, like he is a Greek god. He literally could have ripped the children away and disappeared. But like he takes the time to reason with her and try and convince her instead of just being like, nope, I'm going to do what's best for the kids and like taking them. It's not until after he's dead. I was like, he actually isn't that bad a guy. Like, as far as I know, in Greek mythology, he actually didn't cheat on his wife.
No. Yeah. Well, he did kind of like
kidnap her
into a marriage, which could be a little bit rapey, but
yeah, that is true. I like the interpretations that say she was escaping from her mother. So, but yeah, Bella is like Hades is the least problematic god in the PJO series. Yeah, he really is. Like for all that Zeus and Poseidon vilify him. Like, he was the only one that kept the truce.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one that did the most to actually protect his kids. Like, he's not my favorite character because he has an attitude problem. And he's a terrible older sibling. But, like...
I stand by, like, my little goth heart and say that I would be a child of Hades.
Okay, we'll give you that one. You can have it.
I like probably would be a child of Athena, but I
know.
I'm very much
one or the other.
Apollo, so I guess.
Apollo?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
One of.
I'm just assuming because I'm a Ravenclaw, I'm a child of Athena.
I did too. And then I
which
took the quiz, and I was like, oh, okay.
I'm a Slytherin, so I think that makes me Hades.
I mean, it works, but
like,
so
also sometimes the Slytherin, like the cunning and part of that, which I think is also part of Athena's character. So
yeah, definitely, because she is the goddess of war strategy.
Yeah, I like that.
But yeah, I just so good. I love this book. It is definitely my favorite in this series, because it has the best shipping moments.
You like another Rick Riordan book better, or you mean like series as in?
This is my favorite in this series. My favorite Rick Riordan book overall is Mark of Athena, because it's an Annabeth's book.
Although Angels, okay. So Mark of Athena was the first book of Rick Riordan's that I read. And I still remember being, I was made to go to Chinese New Year, and I hid in the washroom, and I read. And I remember the line about Angel's breath, and I literally just remember, like, crying and being like, I must finish this now while being in the washroom.
Oh, man.
I was, like, on the floor, just sitting there reading.
Yeah, I have wild stories when we get to Mark of Athena because, like, your girl waited so long for that book.
I waited, like, a solid like 9 months. I feel like the Blood of Olympus is forever. Because I've said this before, but I read The Lost Hero first, and then I read the Percy Jackson series, and then the Son of Neptune had just come out when I read it, and then I had to wait like a full year for Mark of Athena. Yeah,
the last 3 are definitely my favorite in the series, and I think it goes Mark of Athena, House of Hades, Blood of Olympus, but House of Hades and Mark of Athena, I don't know, we'll see in this reread. Speaking of, since we've started talking about it, I guess now is the time to say that we're going to be taking a break from March, but in April we're going to come back with the Heroes of Olympus series. Woo! Because you knew we couldn't. You can't just you can't stop with the Percy Jackson series. You just can't.
No, there's a reason there's so many freaking books for this freaking camp.
Like, Riordan continue to write books for us.
Listen, it was so funny because on Tumblr there are people who are like they get really mad at Rick Riordan and Cassandra Clare for always writing in the same world. I was like, they found a world they love, they found something that works and sells books. It like they're not just doing this for art. This is how they pay the bills.
But the thing is, I don't know if Cassandra Clare's works. But the thing is, I think that you can enter at any of Rick's series and understand. Like I read The Lost Hero first, and I was slightly confused because there was some context of why Percy was so important. That didn't make sense. Well, because for me, like, he doesn't appear in it, obviously, and I was like, I don't know who this person is, right?
Why do I care?
Well, no, I didn't not care. I was just like, I don't understand why he's so important, right? But, like, I read that book, and it made sense to me, right? And I would say that based on the Hidden Oracle, like, I read that book, and it doesn't even have that many references to the overall series other than the fact of why Apollo ends up in this situation, which isn't even fully explained and doesn't need to be explained. And Magnus Chase can definitely stand on its own, right? And I never read
the King Chronicles. Yeah.
So, like, they're not really, like, I would say that the Heroes of Olympus is the most so, but other than that, you can read them all separately and really, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and not have to worry too much.
The Hidden Oracle, wait, what was I saying?
Something about the Hidden Oracle?
Yeah, in the Trials of Apollo, I mean, he goes and explains to us Camp Half-Blood all over again.
Yeah.
Not, like, as in-depth, but, like, it's there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's because it's coming from, it's coming from a different perspective.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And he knows what's important for the story.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But yes, so we are going to be like I said, we're taking March off, and then we're going to start on the Heroes of Olympus series. So for those of you that have been asking whether or not we're doing the Heroes of Olympus series, yes, we are. We would love to have you join us. Speaking of joining us, we're actually going to be opening, not now, like it'll be in a while because we still have to decide when the live show is, but we are going to be opening applications for another host or two to join us with each of the live shows. See how that works out. Should be fun.
Join us.
Yes, join us. Yes, we're going to be rethinking a few things, getting it so that maybe we can get this to more people, but we definitely are going to be continuing on because we like chatting about these books together, and it's lots of fun.
It definitely is.
Yes, and also Rick Riordan is an amazing writer.
Yes, that's a very true statement.
All right, anything else you ladies want to discuss before we wrap things up?
I don't have anything.
You don't have anything?
No.
Yes, Bella, you should read along with us. Do it. Do it.
Yes.
Speaking of which, like I said, since I said there are a lot of like details that are up in the air, so the best thing for you guys if you're watching this is to go follow the Demigods Anonymous Twitter, which is linked down below in the description box, because that is where all of the updates are going to be. Like when we open up host applications, it'll be there. When we tell you when the next live show, which hopefully we will do before we open up host applications, when we tell you the next live show is, it will be there. So.
Also, you have 1 month. You can read 5 of them. Or you can do like 6 books in the next 2 months, which isn't even that bad because the first 3 books aren't bad. They're like 300 pages.
Well, I think Bella has read the first series. She just hasn't read any of the other ones. So I'm very behind on my required reading.
Okay, so you're the great place to start.
Perfect!
In 2 months.
Yes! Oh my gosh. It's gonna be so weird making a TBR without a required book on it.
I know. I was literally making my TPR and I was like, wait.
This month's TBR is really weird anyways, because besides the Gilded Wolves, which I need to read for books with friends, or I want to read for books with friends, and like reading Clockwork Princess, I don't really have any other books that I'm like, yes, I want to read. Like, I don't really have a TBR this month. I've got 2 arcs that I need to read, or 3. But like, I don't really have a TBR this month. I don't know. I don't know what I want to read. And it's so weird. Usually I'm just like, I can't wait to read this and this and this. It's weird.
I have like 21 books I'm in the middle of reading, and it's an issue. Also, I just got in the mail Death Note and Full Metal Alchemist from Bookish Cupid, and I'm just in total bliss.
Yes, okay. Full Metal Alchemist is quite possibly the greatest manga out there.
It's so great. And Death Note is so pretty. It's like black with sprayed edges, and it's beautiful. And I've wanted to read it for 4 freaking years.
That's nice. Yeah, I'm rereading Ouran High School Host Club, which is my favorite shoujo, but Full Metal Alchemist is definitely my favorite shonen. So
I love that you know all these. Sorry, don't think that.
So, anyways, but, hey. Listen, they're good manga. They're really good manga and anime. And don't watch the first Full Metal Alchemist though, because that's a trash show.
That's what I heard.
Or the Netflix version of Death Note. Yep.
Okay.
I haven't watched it on purpose.
I don't know what happened with the first Full Metal. Like, I mean, I don't know. Part of it was because they the series wasn't finished when they were doing it, but like, there was a certain point where it was like they all got drunk, put plot points in a hat, shook it up, and then pulled them out and decided this is how we're going to do things. And I was just like, why did you change it up if you're still going to use those plot points?
Maybe they concluded with the people that like Shyamalan, whatever his name is, who made the Avatar: The Last Airbender movie, and the people who decided it would be a great idea to make Kronos rise in a red weird devil thing in the second Percy Jackson movie. I think
that did happen, didn't it?
Man, I need to watch that movie again. It was so bad.
I still need to do my my read the book episode of The Lightning Thief. Like, I have all my notes, I just haven't filmed it yet.
Yeah, I watched in between it, and I just wanted to cry.
Like, it's not a bad movie on its own, but the fact that they're saying it's a Percy Jackson movie, it's like, but that's not Percy. That's.
I would say the first movie isn't a bad movie on its own. The second movie is just a bad movie
on its own.
It's like the first movie.
You can't separate the second movie because it's so much closer to the book. You can't separate the second movie from the book. Like, you can't.
The first like 30 or so minutes of it, I was like, yes, like you're finally like following the book, and then that ending came, and I was like, okay, well, it's fine.
In August, I don't know what like day it was, but like August 2012 or 2013 or whatever it was, when I went to my sister's house, I watched all of season 1 of Korra, which was a disappointment, and then I went to the movie theater and watched that, and just my dreams were broken, and it was a horrible day in my life, and I became disillusioned, and life came down for me as a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right, we have devolved. So I'm going to let y'all sign off, and then we will end this. So make sure I will have their chat or their channels linked in the description box. So make sure that you check out both of these lovely ladies because they have great, awesome content that they do. They both are hilarious and very thoughtful. So make sure that you check them out. Okay. Also, Kenzie has a really cute cat. I do have to point that out.
His name is Achilles. I wonder where that came from.
I have zero idea. I don't think it's from the Percy Jackson series, though. I think it's from a different book.
Yeah, no, it's from
Song of Achilles.
yeah, that one. Yeah.
I don't see. I will never read that book because I don't do unhappy endings. Like, if I know it's going to end unhappily, I avoid it.
You don't read books that make you cry. It's a defense mechanism.
Listen, the Rogue Society did not make me cry. It just made me mad.
Because you make sadness into anger. It's a defense mechanism normally used by boys to avoid depression, but you can use it here if you like.
I probably am avoiding depression, so.
Aren't we all crying at least?
I like to accept my emotions. It's a great way to get past it, but you know.
I don't like reading books that have sad endings. Life is depressing enough as it is. Give me a book that has a happy ending, or not necessarily. Give me a series that has a happy ending. The book endings can be crap. Like my favorite ending.
I just feel like it's just like a slap into the face of reality because I'm supposed to believe that everything turns out good and it doesn't.
See, I don't.
Yeah,
I know that it's not going to go like the book goes, but at least the book I have could not necessarily control it, but at least the book I know how it's going to end. I can start a book and know that things are going to work out, even if the ending is kind of bittersweet. And I don't do main characters dying though. Like I will read sad books because I read The Fault in Our Stars, but I don't do main characters dying.
That book.
Fault in Our Stars was not a good example of that.
I mean, she's gonna die eventually, but she doesn't die during the book.
But the other one does.
Yeah, well, see, I knew that, so I do much better if I know something's gonna happen, so I can prepare myself for it.
You didn't know going in. You accepted Riordan.
I did actually. I knew who died in that book because I was on Tumblr and I don't necessarily care about spoilers unless it's something that I know I'm going to read soon. I'm pretty sure I've been completely spoiled for Kingdom of Ash, but I don't know that I've been spoiled. So by the time I actually get around to reading Throne of Glass, I won't remember any of it.
Yeah. I was just an innocent 16-year-old reading a book and crying a lot. Because I didn't know better.
I saw the movie first, and then I read the book, and when it got to the sad parts, I stopped reading the book. So, it is still on my...
Pages of book is the most dearest thing ever. I literally just read it a month ago again so that I could cry, because this is what I do with my life. I like crying over bookish things.
No. Okay.
I just don't, because when Allegiant happened, the way it ended, I didn't it put me in a horrible slump. Life had no point for 3 whole days, and I'm I try to avoid doing that to myself. You know what I mean? Because I know how I react. I finished Our Dark Duet, and it did not end well, and I just life was pointless for a couple of days.
Oh, now I'm anxious to read it.
I almost read it because I found that out. I wasn't going to read the series at all, and I never did because I was told that the way it didn't actually make you rip your soul out. So I decided not to read it. I wanted my soul to be ripped. That's the reason I wanted to read.
It felt kind of pointless to me, but I feel like you might there's a chance that you might like it, man. Just because it is such poetic, it's kind of poetic justice. But at the same time, why would I read that?
I thought it was because you knew it was coming, and I was I want to be
I didn't!
Okay. Well, I know it's happening for the last 5 years, but I still might read it one day.
Yeah. Listen, if this had been my first Victoria Schwab series, I probably would not have picked her up again. That's how mad I was about everything, the entire mess that was the end of that. It wasn't just that thing. There was other stuff that I was just angry about. But it's so well written.
Do you mean
in other ways? So, did I say Veronica Roth? I meant Victoria Schwab.
Wait, I thought you said Allegiant. I'm confused.
No, I was talking. Okay, sorry. I was talking about Our Dark Duet. If Our Dark Duet, if the Monsters of Verity series had been the first series I read. Yeah, Allegiant is just what's the point? That was just stupid. There was no reason for that to happen.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, that's what I was told.
Yeah, no.
I've read the beginning. I just haven't finished it yet.
Like it's one of those things that like so easily preventable that it just makes you mad.
Yeah, okay.
I hate that. When the people die of stupid things. And you like and it's so stupid, you just know it's just like the author wanted to kill them off. And it's like, seriously, you couldn't have.
My phone is going to die in approximately like 5 minutes.
Okay, well then I guess it's Bella, I would recommend the Shades of Magic series because it is the bomb. It is amazing. It will change your life. All right?
It's not that great.
Shut up, Min. I love Kel and I love Lila, and they are so much fun.
I haven't read it, so I can't give anything to this conversation.
I wanted to like it a lot more than I did. I haven't read the last book. Maybe that will change my mind. But like
the last book was amazing. Like the last book was one of those like you end in a Gathering of Shadows, and I literally put a Gathering of Shadows down. And I was like, I don't even know how she's going to have a story after this. I don't know how this is going to continue on, and she makes it like work. And I'm just how are you coming up with this stuff?
I didn't like A Gathering of Shadows very much. I liked
A Gathering of Shadows is better the second time around. Because I spent most of A Gathering of Shadows going, listen, the reason I loved the first book was the dynamic between Lila and Kel and like their banter and their like picking each other, and you don't have any of that in the second book. And so the second time around, I knew what was coming, and so I knew what to anticipate. And so because there was that feeling of anticipation, I enjoyed it so much more. And I was also able to look at like how she was setting up the next book. But
I don't care about it based on the shipping like you. I care about the characters, and nothing happened that was good in that. Like, anyways, I hope it's talking about Vicious because it's way better.
Yeah, I need to read Vicious still. I haven't yet. But anyways, Min's phone is about to die, so we are going to say goodbye. As I said, check out these lovely ladies and their channels. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
And